Hey guys, welcome to 6 Minutes for Tuesday, September 27th. I am Jason Fulmore, SC Russell, and today we are talking about the Grappler Fall Classic in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Yeah, it's no longer here in the dirty South. For the last couple of years, it's been at Myrtle Beach. It is now back up in Michigan. I don't know if it will come back down south, but we had a long history, well before COVID, of having some really good representation up in Michigan for the Grappler Fall Classic, and that should happen again this year, based upon the entries and everything else. One thing that's kind of uncertain at this moment, as I get ready to talk about the pre-seeds that were released last night, I think they were, is that we've got Hurricane Ian bearing down on the South, especially Florida, and a lot of the Florida kids who are preparing to head that direction. There's probably a ton of uncertainty about whether they're able to make it or not. Flights getting canceled, travel arrangements getting changed, and everything else. But what we're going to do is we're going to plug right ahead, assume that everybody is able to get there for what should be a fantastic weekend of wrestling in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So let's start things off. Let's go to the 98-pound weight class. And as you can see, not surprisingly, there is not a ton of 98-pound wrestlers from the Southeast represented. All the pre-seeds are Michigan or Iowa or Illinois, Indiana, Midwest kids. We do have Cash Callow, I think that's how you say his name, from Florida, who will be in the mix as well. But as I know the kids' names, looking down the list, Gavin Landers from Iowa would certainly be somebody that I would be watching. All right, let's jump up to 105. And at 105 pounds, again, we have not a ton of Southeast wrestlers in the elite division. But we do have a few, and the first one is number 3 seed or number 3 pre-seed, Andrew Punzelon from Florida. He should be in the mix. It's a good bracket. Aiden Dodd is the pre-seed number 1, but this is a weight that could open up to lots of different people, including our 2 ones to watch, David Darmus from Florida and DJ Clark from Georgia. Both of those wrestlers have a real opportunity to make some noise, make an impact, and make a run for a GFC title. So keep an eye at 105. 112, perhaps one of my favorite weights. It's actually one of either this weight or I think 171 are my 2 favorite weights to look at. A couple others in between those two. But 112, and you'll notice that we just had 105 and we now have 112. Michigan is still on the old weights for those of you that are unaware. Not even the old weights as in terms of last year, because Georgia has made the transition to the new weights, but we're talking about the old weights. So some of these weight classes might seem a little strange, but those are the weights that the Grappler has had when they run it. They run off of Michigan weights. So we're talking about 112 pounders, not 113 pounders, as it relates to this. And we have 2 defending, returning. They're not defending at this weight. 2 returning GFC champions in Illinois' Seth Mendoza and Georgia's Antonio Mills. You add in nationally ranked Colin Limbert there from Ohio, who wrestled just this past weekend at Elite 8 Duels. Florida champs Roman Lermer, Tyler Washburn, Gabriel Telez. I mean, we are talking a stacked weight class. Fantastic weight class. And those Southeast wrestlers who aren't in the top 8 pre-seeds are also fantastic. I mean, you have state runners-up in Jojo Urchek, Christian Vasquez, Cameron French, as well as Georgia state champion Mason Moody, And Jordan Escara from Florida, who wrestled really well at the Florida Super 32 earlier entry tournament. 112 promises to be a fantastic weight class. All right, let's jump up to 119 pounds. And our 119s, we have two hammers sitting right at the top. Not that number 3 through number 8 aren't hammers, but Jackson Bloom from Michigan, who is a returning GFC champ, wrestled exceptionally well this past weekend in Elite 8 duels, as did JJ Peace from South Carolina. He wrestled fantastic as well at Elite 8 duels. Both of those two are set to be in the field and should really bring a lot to 119. It's going to be a fantastic weight. Cannon Ackland from Oklahoma. Ethan Urachek comes in as the number 4 pre-seed. Bryson Terrell is down at the 7 pre-seed. Florida State runner-up Patrick Jones is coming in at the number 8 pre-seed. Put in Kate Kluse and Cole Evans in there as well. And the top 8 pre-seeds at 119 are fantastic. A couple Georgia wrestlers to watch, Durbin Carpenter and Chaz McDonald, as well as Florida's runner-up last year in 1A, Jonathan Motor, Luis Acevedo from South Dade, and Colt Brown from Lake Gibson will all be in the mix at 119. All right, up to 125, and maybe the weight that we're at least at the top end of this that I know people in Michigan would be really interested in watching, and that is Caden Horvath, Jake Kraps, Drew Heathouse from Michigan. Those three at the top certainly draw a lot of eyes and attention to this 125-pound weight class, but it's not just them. The top 8 include, again, Christian Fretwell from Florida, Caleb Burachuk from Tennessee, Clay Gates down from Oklahoma, a couple other Michigan hammers in there. And then I'm not sure how Colin Bradshaw doesn't make the top 8 as far as the pre-seed goes. Certainly one to watch. You've got Jarvis Little, Colin Mullins will be there, Matthew Velasco, Joshua Aviles wrestled fantastic at the Florida Super 32 early entry tournament, and it's definitely one to watch. And then one of the, I think only 2 Alabama wrestlers in the field, John Stewart, who's just a freshman, pretty talented freshman at that, is also at in a really tough weight class here at 125. All right, let's jump up to 130, and our 130-pound weights is topped by the number 1 pre-seed, Danny Martinez of Florida, Caden Chenevert from Michigan, Aaron Lucio from Michigan, Landon Duncan from Ohio sit 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm not sure why Amonte Mills comes in at number 5 in the pre-seeds. Personally, I think he should be significantly higher. Might be a Southeast biased in that, but he certainly has all the ability to take the GFC title this year. And then you got Gavin Nolan, Draven McCall, and then you got a bunch of other Southeast wrestlers also in the mix. You know, Ryan Phillips and Tristan Sains are both returning state runners-up. Ethan Lipsey's there. Nathan McGill, Charlie Armstrong, Alan Soropsky from Tennessee. Again, another really, really good weight. Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. Danny Martinez looked really, really good earlier this year. I haven't seen Amonte wrestle in a bit, so but he is certainly one to watch. This is another really, really talented weight class and a really good weight class for the Southeast. All right, 135 pounds. Headlined by Justin Gates from Michigan and Joey Butler from Indiana. EJ Solis from South Dade in Florida and Blue Stifler from Mill Creek in Georgia are your number 3 and your number 4. Both young, and we'll get an opportunity to show out at 135 pounds. You also have Jose Gutierrez from Florida, who comes in at number 7 after a really good run at NHSCAs back in March. Certainly one to watch. Roman Maldonado sitting over there as one to watch. Absolutely, 100% has the ability to be sitting outside that top 8 and make a significant run for a GFC title. Trust me. All right, 140 pounds. Cam Catrabone from New York comes in as your number 1 pre-seed. He wrestled this past weekend at Elite 8, lost to Cooper Haas, who's going to be pre-seeded up at 145. David McClellan also was at Elite 8. Hayden Whidden, who comes in at number 4, was at Elite 8. So you've got a ton of kids there who really had a tough weekend. They wrestled really, really hard this past weekend. You had in Asen Rice, Anderson Heap, who I'm super excited to look to see how he does. Landon DeSille from Tennessee comes in at number 7. And the depth at 140 is fantastic. Nicholas Romero, I think he was a state champion a year ago. Joel Williams, I think he was a state champion a year ago from Florida. Tennessee's Luke Belcher. You got Connor Kimbrough, Marley Washington, Ronnie Thielacker, Aaron Lanster. 140 is super deep and should be one of the best weights. If it is not 112 or 171, it might be 140, simply based upon the depth. All right, 145 pounds. Did I say 145 pounds? I did. And I'm not 100% sure where my 145 pounders are. So let's jump ahead and take a look at 145 pounds. Dylan Gilcher, Michigan. Cooper Haas from Florida. Those two did not meet. Haas was down a weight at Elite 8 duels. But both Gilcher and Haas had fantastic Elite 8 duels this past weekend. If those two clash at 145, it'll so be worth it, because that will be a fantastic potential final. Now, I don't want to go ahead and say that those two are going to make the finals, obviously, because 145 also includes Aiden Davis, Dominic Hoffroth, from Ohio. He was also at Elite 8 duels as well. You got Jaden Robinson from Illinois, Hunter Sturgill as well. Those are definitely some names to watch. Although I don't know, based upon what I watched with Gilcher and Cooper Haas, if there are two 145s in the field that are wrestling better than the two of them. You should also keep an eye on George Maholtz from South Carolina, Louis Bellon, Mikael Pierce Walker, Daniel Ward. Yeah, there's going to be a few others that are going to be in the mix at 145 pounds. Should be a good one. All right, let's jump up to 152 pounds. And just like Gilcher versus Haas, or I was trying to think of one of the other ones, Craps down with 125. I'm trying to think of who that was with him at 125. Horvath, yeah. 152 is the same way. Braxton Strick from Missouri, Dominic Bambinelli from Georgia are right there at the top. But 52 is tough. It has a lot of others in the mix. Kendrick Codd should be there. Giannis Charles is there. Johnny Maldonado from Florida. Adrian Ochoa, Nathan Furman. This is a weight class that is loaded with Southeast talent. Loaded. And watching all of them battle it out, add in Michael Sains, Gavin Balmaceda, Jaheim Mills, and 152 should be a fun weight to watch. Braxton Strick is super good, and it'll be fun to see the different clashes well before the finals. In the quarterfinals and the semifinals should be some fantastic matchups. All right, 160 pounds. Florida's Brandon Cody comes in as your top seed, and you can see below him, amongst the number 2 through number 8, are a bunch of Midwest wrestlers: Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan. Not a lot in the top 8 besides Brandon Cody as far as the pre-seeds go. Although if you look at the Southeast ones to watch, Randolph, Wills Bronson have both competed an awful lot, have the ability to kind of break in. I don't know number 2 through number 8 very well, so I don't know what that level is. But I know that both Wills Bronson and Ranson Randolph have an opportunity to make some noise. Drake Bowers from Tennessee and Kat Benson are both, I think they're both younger than Bronson and Randolph. And it'll be interesting to see how both Bowers and Benson compete as well at 160. It's kind of an unknown weight for me because it doesn't have a ton of Southeast wrestlers besides Brandon Cody, who comes in as the pre-seed number 1. So it'll be really interesting to see if we don't get somebody who kind of surprises everybody outside of that top 8 and makes a run. All right, 171 pounds. This to me is one of the best weights because I know how good Christian Motor, Connor McCloskey, Tito Solorzano, Jake Stacy are, and they represent number 3, number 6, number 7, and number 8. Carlos Garcia is number 5, so that means that I'm not even going to be able to say Abe's name from Illinois, or Colin Kelly, also from Illinois, the number 1 and number 2. They have to be super, super good because, I watched Tito wrestle this past weekend. Tito Solorzano from Lake Gibson, Florida, wrestled this past weekend. And Connor McCloskey wrestled this past weekend. Both wrestled outstanding at Elite 8 duels. Took a couple losses, but to top 10 kids. So they certainly have an opportunity. And everybody above them should be put on notice because they have the ability to make a run for the title. It's amazing that Elijah Penton from Florida isn't in the top 8. He certainly is one to watch as well. And Albert Manzini from Doral Academy in Florida has had a really good preseason with the Georgia and Florida Super 32 early entry tournaments, and has an opportunity to make some noise as well. So 171 is a really, really good weight, especially for the Southeast. And just watching all of them go wrestle one another would be fantastic to watch. So, all right. 189 pounds. And we have pretty much outside of the Southeast dominated here. You do see Luke Justice from Tennessee and Christopher Sanchez from Florida at number 6 and number 8. But you see a lot of Michigan guys. You see Sonny Kling from California. I know that name. Comes in as the number 1 pre-seed. Indiana. Little surprised that Florida State runner-up Franklin Ordonez, who wrestled really, really good this summer at the junior duels, isn't in the top 8. I would expect that he might be in the top 8. So anybody who might be looking past him might want to dial it back a little bit because he can certainly go in and make some noise as well. So 189. It'll be interesting to see how Ordonez, Justice, and Sanchez fare because the top end with the Michigan kids should be pretty good. All right, 215 pounds. And yes, that's the new weight in Georgia. 220 still in the rest of the Southeast, but it is 215 up in Michigan. So Remy Cotton, who I think is ranked number 7 in the country, is your number 1 seed. His fellow Michigan Knight, I'm not sure if that's the right the way you say it. Adam Hasselis is number 2. You got Ohio, South Dakota. Again, a lot of Michigan kids, a lot of Ohio kids. Not hugely populated with Southeast talent. One person to watch is Southwest Miami's Jonathan Frega from down south in Florida. He has an opportunity to make some noise. I don't know most of the kids in the pre-seeds at 215 except for the top 2. And the top 2 are fantastic. So keep that in mind. It'll be interesting to see how Jonathan does this weekend. And our final weight class, 285 pounds, and not many heavyweights in the field. This isn't terribly surprising. This is kind of, it's football season and everything else, and a lot of the heavyweights are still kind of getting their feet under them. They're still playing football. They're still doing lots of different things. I'm really interested in watching Austin Foy compete. He's the number 3 pre-seed. I don't know either of the Michigan wrestlers that are preceded above him, or Lionel Baldwin, who is number 4. Aaron Garcia from Mill Creek in Georgia is number 5. And Leonard Christian from Florida is number 6. So it'll be interesting to see how 285 plays out. I don't know that much information about the kids outside the Southeast here at 285, but I know Foy can definitely go. So we'll see kind of what happens at 285. All right, so those are your pre-seeds for the elite division of the Grappler Fall Classic. I'm crossing my fingers as I sit here and talk about this, because Hurricane Ian is sitting right here and can definitely have an impact on the field this weekend, and who is able to be there and who's not able to be there and everything else. So it is a super good tournament. Probably, we have different levels of tournaments, but it has a history of having some fantastic wrestlers go in and compete and wrestle in the finals against one another. And this year promises to be more of the same if we don't get impacted by the hurricane. So those are your pre-seeds. I hope to see everybody in Michigan on Friday afternoon. And yeah, take care. Safe travels. Bye.